All right. I think we mentioned this before, maybe in the last video, but we can have a composition of more than two functions. We can have a composition of three functions or even more. So basically, here we have a function within a function within a function, right? So we have our inner function, g of x. Then we have our next level function, f of g of x, right? F of x with g of x plugged in. And then we have our h of x function, and we have all that plugged in to h. And so if we were to find the derivative of this function k prime would be the derivative of the outer function with all the inner stuff the same, right? Notice how it's f of g of x, the same as here, f of g of x. Okay, then we go to the next level, so then we multiply by the derivative of the next inner function, or the next outer function, I should say, all right, or the remaining most outer function. So then we do f prime of regular g of x, right? So the g of x stays the same. And then we finally multiply by the most inner function. Okay, so that's always going to be the last one, is the derivative of the most inner function. All right, so you just go outside in, keep taking the derivative, leave the insides the same as you do that, and that's how it works. All right, so yeah, so it's just applying the chain rule multiple times. Okay, and you could do it with a composition of four functions, etc. All right, so here we go. So here we have this function k of x, and we can see that we have a cosine to the fourth power, and then we have this inside function, right? So trig functions are a little bit tricky because remember that fourth power, we can think of this, you don't have to write it out, but we can think of this as cosine all to the fourth power, right? So the most outer function is the fourth power. Then, so it'd be like x to the fourth power basically. Then your next level would be the cosine. And then finally, your last level would be the 7x squared plus 1. All right. So you don't necessarily have to write all those out. Let's just try this. Let's just try this all at once. So I'm going to see, okay, the fourth power is really on the outside of everything, so I'm going to do that first. So I'm going to do power rule. So I'm just going to bring the 4 to the front, multiply the 4 in front, and then cosine comes down. Remember, I'm not changing anything inside here, right? I'm not taking the derivative of cosine yet. All I'm doing is the power rule first. So I get cosine. This inner function stays the same as well. Okay, and then it's going to be to the third power now, right? So I just multiply this in front and take away 1. Everything else stays the same. But now I want to multiply times the next level, right? Times the next level of inner function. So now it'd be the cosine function. So now the derivative of cosine is negative sine. Okay? And then the inside stays the same. And notice how I don't have any exponents here. That's because this is the inner function, right? So the derivative of cosine is just negative sine. There's no exponents there. Okay? All right, and then finally, now I'm going to do the most inner function. So the derivative of 7x squared plus 1 is just 14x. All right, and that's basically it. And on this one, it doesn't get too much more simple. I'm okay with you leaving it like this, but we have a positive times a negative times a positive, so we'll end up with a negative. And then, so it'll be a negative out front. And then really I'm just going to multiply these values that are outside of the trig functions. So 14x times 4 would be 56x. And then you can tag the sine and the cosine together. It doesn't really matter which one goes first. Sometimes there's trig identities that you can apply and change values, but this is about simplified as we can get it. All right. So go ahead and try 3.38. Similar idea. Very similar idea. Maybe a little bit easier because this inside here isn't as bad. So a little less writing maybe. but very similar. All right, so if you got some version of this, well done. And there's other ways you can do it, like we can multiply this in the front to simplify, but either one of those is okay, right? All right. So, yeah, so it'd be 18x squared sine x to the fifth, or sine to the fifth x cubed cosine x cubed. All right, so that would be kind of the more simplified version.